On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, friends, family, allies, and enemies. It's your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. First of all, now that I got my music and my sound and everything together, give me a 1 if you can hear me, and let me know if the sound levels are good. BB48 Straight Black Pride, Assistant Najee. BB48 Straight Black Pride, Brother Elijah. BB48 Straight Black Pride, Brother Kevin. Greetings to Brother Tony. Hopefully, brother, you got ripped off, can't make it. He is on the road, so I'm not sure if he's gonna be in tonight or not. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm gonna do a couple of things. I'm gonna do a quick, I don't know how quick, but I'll do a recap of this weekend's Great Black Pride weekend events, and then I'll talk a little bit about Black August. As you see with the we have a blog posting from a few years ago on Black August. And then I may talk about a story that I just found out about, like just got sent to me, dealing with Nigeria. And hey, shout out to my Nigerians, but y'all government, man. Just government. Nigerian government pretty much sucks from my point of view. And they always have y'all standing on the wrong side of history. And the story I saw was just disheartening. I just shook my head and I'm just like, excuse me. And I was really like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. So I guess I'll talk about that, and then I might make a whole video about it once I get some more information on it. So again, I'm your host, DC Radical One. This is the center. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical _ONE, on OTW2, which is a Black owned platform, at DC Radical One. You can donate via Cash App, $DC Radical One, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Also, because I've been busy, I've just been made aware of some issues with delivery of some videos. So just to let those brothers know that I'll take care of that by tomorrow. Make sure that the links work properly and that everything is sent to people who have already purchased, those who have purchased the Lost Tapes lecture series. Also, the Lost Tapes lecture series is still available, and upcoming, hopefully within the next week or so, I'll be releasing lectures that I have done previously. I believe I'm just going to call it the Ancestral Lecture Series, celebrating Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Dr. Chancellor Williams, and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, with some additional lectures covering a variety of subjects, including unknown rebellions and revolutions. So that is that. I will later on play the Lost Tapes commercial, and I can find it, yeah, I'll play the Lost Tapes commercial later on. So, and y'all know me these days. The more people we have, the longer the live stream. The fewer people that have, shorter the live stream. That's how we're doing it now. Because if the people aren't interested, there's no need to spend a lot of time and effort. I do plan to be back on tomorrow with a report on what's going on the continent. Also, if I find any updates, what's going on in Haiti, and if anything else happens, other parts of the Black world. I'm gonna be honest, man, and maybe it's just me. I really don't see a lot happening in Black America. I've already talked about the Trump situation. That'll be coming to a city near you. Of course, there's always various racial incidents, but if we're not going to properly respond, there's no need for me to really discuss them unless it's something that, touches me in a manner that I feel like it's necessary to discuss, like the Sade Robinson situation. But short of that, and I don't know what to say. So anyway, let's just get on with it. This past weekend, as I'm sure everyone who's listening here knows, was Straight Black Pride weekend. We came together for a luncheon at Swahili Village, Beltsville. Beltsville is a little probably incorporated town outside of Washington, D.C. in Prince George's County. It is north of College Park. And College Park is where the University of Maryland is. So that gives you an idea of the location. Brother Jeannie was there, and myself, core members of Straight Black Pride that have been around basically since the beginning of the DC chapter, and newer supporters as well, of course. So yeah, we came together, and it really is like a family reunion. We ate, we broke bread, and to be honest, after we ate, we probably sat around and talked outside for, let's just say it was dark. So before they Straight Black Pride, the Raw Arto Vita, long time no see. We probably, after we broke bread, first of all, people came on, in their own leisurely time. That was number one. I probably had the hardest journey outside of people who came from out of town, and I beat a lot of people there. And we broke bread for about 2 hours. And after that, we went outside and as they say back in the day, had a cipher and built on the issues of the day in the world community and what's going on in the Black world and stuff, literally for like at least 4 hours, I would say, or at least 3 hours. So if you're one of those people that would like to talk to Brother Genie and pick his brain and get some ideas from him, you missed your opportunity because that was your opportunity there. Because it was literally, if I remember correctly, it was like literally dark when we left. And then the next day we reconvened. Well, most of, not everybody, but we reconvened at E-Life vegan restaurant, excuse me. That is in Capitol Heights. Sister Najee say at least 4 hours, right? Yeah, right. Sister, at least 4 hours. Yeah, I'm probably 4.5, close to 5, because yeah, like literally like from like 2:30 to like 7:30, so it's close to 5 hours. But the next day, we well, I say about half of us reconvened at Eat Life, breakfast there, vegetarian restaurants. I believe the new address is 9033 Central Avenue. Black owned vegan restaurant. Of course, that's the same restaurant where we used to have a lot of our events, a lot of our lectures and singles mixes and stuff like that. It's been rebuilt, so it's a different address. It looks different inside, but yeah, we met there, had lunch there, and then we proceeded to go to the Natural History Museum, and well, actually, we went to the African American History and Culture Museum, or whatever they call it, you know, and then we went to the Natural History Museum. Now, I'm gonna explain why we did it like that, and then we didn't get to do everything. Here's the thing about the way the history and our culture and everything is presented in museums in Washington, D.C. I can't speak for New York. I can't speak for Chicago or other major cities that have major museums, right? Can't speak for London or, what's that, Paris, France. I can't speak for any of those places. Before they short Black Pride Grudge rocking. Just thinking about you, brother. Just thinking about you. I'll be sure to resend that information to you and one other brother as far as the lectures. I saw an email where there was some issues, so I'll be sure to, by tomorrow, we should be set with that. The reason that you have to go to multiple museums in Washington, D.C. is because there's no place where our free enslavement history is in the museums of the city. And what I mean by that is you'll find part of it in one museum, you'll find another part of it in another museum, and then you'll find another part in the museum that you don't think there's any history in. So here's the example, right? Everyone, but not everyone, but a lot of people know about the African American History Museum, right? The key thing to understand is, what does it say? It says it's what? The African American History Museum, which means it starts the history of Black people with enslavement. What does John Henry Clarke tell us? John Henry Clarke told us, if you start your history with slavery, everything else looks like progress, right? So there's no history that I remember, and I've been there multiple times. There's no history regarding the West African king who came to America. It was documented that he left from the West. It was also documented by natives that men dressed in white with gold-tipped spears came from the South, which fits the description of the people that left from the west coast of Africa, right? This is how Mansa Musa became king, because his brother, I believe, I have it correctly, I started to say his uncle, but I believe his brother was the one that left from the west coast of Africa, arrived in the Caribbean, right? Interacted with the natives there, and went on to found a settlement here in America. Now, this was before Columbus, and Columbus has Columbus, and I think it was his third voyage. I should have looked it up beforehand. Talks about seeing, while he's coming back, towards Africa. He talks about seeing ships of black men going past him to America, right? So anyone, of course, well, people who know, understand the current, know that the current comes from the west coast of Africa and carries you into the Caribbean. So as I've said before, and I'll say it again, literally all you need is a seafaring vessel and enough cargo to sustain you to make that trip from West Africa into the Caribbean. Now, what you do from there, that's up to you. But literally, I'm saying any novice seaman worth his salt, worth his, you know what I'm saying, can make this journey. So none of that is documented in the African American History Museum, or as far as I know, I have not seen in any museum, right? Now, have I been to every museum in America? Absolutely not. Would I, if I had like the financial backing, would I do that? Absolutely. Yes, I would. I'd be in the back trying to find the hidden information that they don't want us to know about. Now, so none of that information is there. So the African American History Museum starts with enslavement. They have a little bit, it's like a little blurb or section where they talk a little bit about Africa, or at least the state of Africa at the time that enslavement occurs. But it's not, it's very brief, and it's just one of those things that if you're not paying attention, you miss it. They also have a picture of Queen Nzinga there, and it's a big picture, but the blurb on her is so small that you almost can't see it, and they don't really get into her lifelong fight against enslavement and her declaring her territory free, that if you can come there, you're free from enslavement. So they don't really, they have her there, but they don't talk about that. They don't really get into the details. So you really don't get to see the significance of her, right? So, like I said, everything they start from slavery and they go from there. Now, if you go to the Natural History Museum, you will find documentation on African civilization from Nile Valley civilization forward, and it's different sections, but it doesn't go into great detail. For example, Mali, Songhai, those kingdoms are not really mentioned. So there's just like, here's Nile Valley civilization, and then here's like the present in essence. So it just there's just a vast gulf of African history that's missing. Now here's the thing that's deep. It's in the, notice I say it's in the Natural History Museum. The Natural History Museum does not feature any other civilization. The Natural History Museum is all animals, what they call it, flora and fauna. So animals and plants, basically, right? And then there's a section that deals with evolution, which basically shows us how Europeans came from monkeys. That's literally what it shows. I'm not making it up. That's what it shows, right? Then they try to say everybody's involved, but we know what it is. So in the midst of this flora and fauna museum is some African history, and they got different, and they have different maps of Africa, and they have a video showing Africa, and then they have another, yeah, brother, right past the bird section, right? If you go past the birds, that's where the African history is. And so that is weird. Like it just doesn't belong there. Well, I think they call it African Voices. So they got a film showing some history and things like that at the front, and then at the back they have another film, right, showing some history. But there's a lot of stuff that now I've definitely seen the second film. I saw part of the first one, but not the whole thing. But it is a thing. It's going to be a common theme. I'm going to get to the theme of it. Give me some time. What you'll notice is there's no discussion of real revolutionaries in any of these museums. For example, the section at the back where they have the film talk about showing African history. Peace and Black Proud to BRN. In that section, right? You do not, there's no Dedan Kimathi, right? Of Kenya in the Haitian Revolution. There's no Amilcar Cabral. I don't remember ever seeing Kwame Nkrumah. So again, you have a film and ostensibly it's about African history, right? This is African voices. There's no revolutionary voices there. Now, go to the African American History Museum, right? Go to the African American History Museum. Literally, the history stuff, in essence, stops at 1970. And then goes to Obama. So, for example, you go in there and you go downstairs and you basically you go from enslavement in one section, the what you call it, the war of independence. Then you'll get to, there's a big thing of Thomas Jefferson. Why he's in there, I don't know. Actually don't know why Thomas Jefferson is in here. Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner who wrote some books and talked a lot of good stuff while he violated an underage girl. So why he's there talking about freedom, I actually don't know. What's so hilarious is I've literally walked past Thomas Jefferson in that place 6 times before I recognized he was there. And I had to ask somebody, was he always there? And they're like, nah, he was there last time I was here. And I'm like, wow, okay. So he's there. Thomas Jefferson's there. Here's a perfect example. Toussaint Louverture has a statue there, right? Toussaint Louverture has a statue there. Ooh, Toussaint Louverture, Haitian Revolution, I'm with it. You know who does not have a statue there? Or has a little small mention? Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Jean-Jacques Dessalines finished the revolution that Toussaint almost blundered. But he's not there. He has no statue. He's a little small, like 1 sentence mention. Right? Boukman Duddy is not there. Fatima is not there. So you're claiming that you're honoring the Haitian Revolution, but the only person you have from the Haitian Revolution is an integrationist. Right? This. So why am I pointing this out? I'm pointing this out because I remember going to seeing other sections that I didn't go to, and I was like, well, maybe the stuff that I'm not seeing isn't here because I'm not going to the whole museum. Now that I've gone through the whole museum more than once. No, that's not the reason. The reason is because who owns the museum? One time, I guess it's on my phone, but I don't have a video. You know, when I was out of shape, took a video showing the people who had donated, right? There's a lot of Europeans and then a few Negroes like Oprah. Now, in this case, this whole entire section of the museum that has this history talking about enslavement, this and that and the other, is named after a hat. Brother Rock, if you still in here, if you remember the hat's name, can you put that in the chat for me? Because I can't remember the hat's name. But so, like, you know, some type of Silverstein, or is this some type of Steinstein, some guy. That entire section is named after him, which means he donated most of the money. The thing that you'll find not in the museum. You want to know what's not in the museum? No mention of the Jewish involvement in the slave trade. It's mentioned in the museum. Now, I told you, there's a whole big section of slavery in the museum. Right? Like, there's a whole, on the bottom floor, you go all the way down. Start with slavery. It's about 3. Well, it's more than 3. It's about maybe about 8. That's 8. Maybe if I count the exhibits individually, maybe 10, 12 exhibits. Not talking about the slave man. Talks about the countries, right? Talks about the countries. Like it's like Portugal and the Netherlands and this one and that one and France and this and that. And what's interesting is what they don't tell you is who was in power in those countries at the time of enslavement. Because it's easy to say the Netherlands or this or that, but they don't tell you who's in charge of that. Who's in charge of the economics? Who's in charge of the political agenda? Right? So I'll give you a perfect example. Here in the United States, we'll sit around and say, the United States bombed Iran. Technically, that's true. But who is in charge forcing the United States to bomb Iran? Israel. Right? So, in that same manner, we'll see that, these various countries were involved in slavery, but the individuals who made the money, the individuals who really came up with the idea to monetize it, those individuals and who their ethnicity and what they're part of, that's not mentioned. Excuse me. So that's omitted, right? But I'm talking about that's omitted from the discussion. So you'll never learn that truth in that facility, right? Now they have a section on Marcus Garvey. They have a section on the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad. What's kind of weird is, unless I've missed it, they don't actually have a section on the Nation of Islam under Mr. Louis Farrakhan for whatever reason. But they have multiple sections on the Nation of Islam Act. Like it's like section on the nation right next to Marcus Garvey. Then there's another section on the nation right in the section where they're like right across from where the Panthers are, and a picture of Malcolm and a record of Malcolm X's speeches. Right? So they're in there, but the modern nation isn't in there. And I believe the reason the modern nation isn't in there is for 2 reasons. 1, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. 2, the book series, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 2, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 3, Jews Selling Blacks. I believe that's why the modern nation isn't in there. But the Million Man March is mentioned. And there may be a video shown, I can't remember. Right? But that part isn't in there. Another thing you will not find in there, as I spoke about not finding revolutionaries in the African Voices section of the Natural History Museum that has, Black people's history. What you will not find is, and I'm gonna go a list of people that you will not find in this African American History Museum, because we're not gonna talk about people who aren't. We're not gonna talk about people, for example, who you say, "Oh, no, that person they weren't born here," this and that. You won't find Dr. John Henry Clarke in the National African American History Museum. You will not find our Grand Master Teacher, Dr. John Henry Clarke, there. You will not find, even though she worked in the same city for decades, you will not find Dr. Frances Cress Welsing there. Think about that. She worked in this city for decades. She does not have an exhibit there. You will not find anything from Baba Zulu and Ujima Shule there. Now, it's possible that they asked Baba Zulu and he said no, because I know how Baba Zulu is. right? And Barbara Zulu was also a freedom rider. But they would want to use his old name, and that name is dead to him. Sister, you said was Barbara. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing her, but that don't mean she wasn't there. But it's like all of the people from the 90s that were like the big time speakers and stuff that I used to see when I was young. You know, I'm finished going through the list, but you said she worked for DCPS. If that's the case, she probably wasn't there. I'm trying to think. I've been there multiple times. I don't recall seeing her there. If so, it might be in the newer section where they just put stuff, or they may have slapped her over there, over towards the feminists, because they try to make every black woman who has an ounce of brain cells a feminist. So unless she was over in that feminist section, I don't think so, sister. Trying to think who else I know. Of course, Dr. Collar's not there. Steve Coakley's not there. Amos Wilson is not there. Dale Jones is not there. So if we wanted to make just I'll put it like this. If we wanted to, and we're going to have to do this soon anyway. If we want to get serious and make a serious Black Revolutionary museum, we could do that, because they left all them out. They're not in no museum. We don't have to fight people for stuff. We literally just have to call people's relatives and say, hey, can we get someone bought by Amos Wilson's clothing? Or, can we put his books in the display case? Some things from Dr. John Henry Clarke, and so forth and so on. And of course, we got Brother Danny Queen. He has all of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. He has a large number, maybe he may have all of them, of her taped audio speeches before they straight Black Pride. Brother, you got rid of. So yeah, so Brother Danny he was her what's the word I can use? Basically her archivist for all her speeches. He recorded them, all the classes, well, not all the speeches, but all the classes that she had at home. Peace and Sister Fonessa. And Sister Najee, remind me to give you a wrench later to make you a moderator for this show. I haven't added any new moderators in a while. I've lost a few people that are moderators. So none of those people are in the African American History Museum. Like I said, just going back over the list. And even though he's still alive, you could put him in there. Dr. Claude Anderson's not there. Like I said, Dr. Amos Wilson's not there. Dr. John Henry Clarke's not there. Well, you could say Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakin is not there, but you can say, oh, well, Dr. Ben don't need to be there. He's not there. What's interesting is Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, is not there, but he is in a different museum. So he's in the National Portrait Gallery Museum. In a picture way in the back behind the president, a picture of him and H. Rap Brown, also known as Imam Jamil Al-Amin, who is currently incarcerated for a crime that I don't think he committed. And he's buried under God knows how many feet of concrete in a Supermax facility. right? But he has a picture in the National Portrait Gallery. It's one of the weirdest things in the world to see. What's funny is both of them, Imam Jamil Al-Amin actually has a gun in hand, has a shotgun in hand, and Kwame Ture has a pistol, right? And brother, you got ripped off says way behind the U.S. president's hidden next to the LGBT propaganda. Yep, that's where it is. And what's hilarious is that in the picture they're laughing. So it's one of those pictures where you take, they weren't posing, obviously. Somebody just saw them laughing and took the picture. But so you won't find any of those people that I mentioned in the museum. Yes, candid pic. You won't find Reverend Dr. Shaka Musa Brashengo there. You won't find Dr. Patricia Newton there. You won't find Mother Scheherazade Ali there. Right? You won't find, oh man, what's the mama's name? Oh, I always use clips from her. Can't think of her name right now. Her and her husband, they spoke about, they had a book about black sexual politics back in the, I don't know if it's the late 70s or early 80s, but they predicted a lot of stuff we see now. They were ahead of the game. But you won't find them there. So my point being is that when you allow other people to write your story, they're invariably gonna write it in a way that benefits them, and it's detrimental to you. And that when you go to the National African American History Museum and the other museums in DC, not only will you find the information dispersed in different places, but the information that they don't want people to know is not there. So you won't find, George Jackson there. You won't find Jonathan Jackson there. Are the Panthers there as a collective? Yes, the Black Panthers are represented. They're there in a couple of different exhibits. But there's no, as far as I know, there's no speech from Erie there. There's no speech from Bobby there. Right? The incident that, and I forgot about that. Was that Friday? Was that Sunday? Anyway, one of those days, y'all help me out. What day was that we watched the movie Panther? One of those days we watched the movie. I think that was Sunday. That's what happened. Well, enjoy reading. Sunday night. Okay, yeah, Sunday. We watched the movie Panther. Saturday. Well, wait a minute now. Both of y'all was there. How y'all got 2 different days? No, I think that was Sunday. I think that was Sunday. Yeah, that was Sunday. Sunday night, we watched the movie Panther, which several people hadn't seen. So, but yeah, no, like the Black Panthers as a collective, Black Panther Party as a collective was there, but there's no Fred Hampton there. No, there's a short, like maybe 8-second clip of Fred Hampton. So my bad, he's there. It's a short 8-second clip, Fred Hampton. But like I said, no, really, you don't really get to see Huey and Bobby. If I'm not mistaken, the picture of Huey in a wicker chair or the picture of Huey and Bobby in front of the I don't think that picture is there of Huey and Bobby in front of the Panther headquarters. So as I talk about Black August, that's just an example of the history that isn't there. Just like you go to the African section with the African history, it's the same thing. Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral, Dedan Kimathi, those revolutionaries, those people who literally fought for freedom and or died for freedom, killed for freedom, killed for liberation, right? Are omitted from the story. And I make the argument those are the most important people. I don't even know all of as much knowledge as I have. I don't know all of the key revolutionaries in the various African countries around the world that were the ones that set it off. Which means if I don't know, it's probably not 1,000 people in America that know. Right? So our real history, our real story, what really happened, how we really got free, what really happened during enslavement, the situation with the Moors coming back, being kicked out of Europe, coming back into Africa and disrupting African political systems and bringing with them Sephardic Jews, right? The role of the Arab slave trade in disrupting African political structures, the Jewish role in the Arab slave trade. These type of things aren't talked about, right? So even if we want to take our children to study the history in these facilities, they're going to get a slanted picture and they're not going to get the full history. So that's why independent study is necessary. And if we're going to be whether you got ripped off, say they go today's monetization. Oh, by the way, and he may be right, but we'll be on tomorrow when we'll talk about what's going on the continent. That's the goal. Just to let y'all know, I think we are about $10 away from qualifying for a YouTube check next month, and I think I got to the 7th for that, for them to collect all the data on viewing and on super chats, super thanks, and things like that, right? So I'm gonna tell y'all now, if you feel like sending super chats or super thanks, and for those that don't know, a super thanks is like if I do just a video, not a live stream, and you see, ouch, ow, that hurt. If you see it and you watch the video, you really like the video, you send $1, $2, $3, or whatever. You can do that on those type of short form videos. So it's like a super chat, except it's for those videos. Y'all know what a super chat is. That's during the live stream. If you had a point you want to make that you want to be seen by everyone, that's what that is. And also I forgot, and I have forgotten, but we do have memberships for the channel. I haven't really talked about it and pumped it up that much lately. We have different levels, and at the highest level, you end up pretty much like getting a full lecture at least once every other month, right? So I think we got only one person at the highest level right now. So that is explore that, and I need to be expanding it. I haven't been on top of my game as far as the and we have had like 2 or 3 people come back as far as the membership for the channel. I need to add some more pizzazz to that. So just give me a couple of weeks to get that together. And I ain't gonna lie, after that, if we reach that threshold, I'm gonna be like, all right, just send any donation you make. I'm gonna be like, send it in Cash App, please. So back to what we were talking about. That's why I think it is important for us to go to these facilities and these institutions and see what's really in there and see what's not in there. And it would be, and I know, for example, Tariq Nasheed was supposed to be building a museum. I guess he built it. I haven't heard anything positive about it. Right? In fact, I've just heard people making mockery of it. I don't know. I haven't been there, so I can't speak on it. I heard, but I have heard that it was subpar. We have people who make a lot of money, who could help us build something nice, and it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. You say, did they mention how the government killed MLK? I've never seen that information put in there. And of course, Dr. King is in there several times and in several sections, but hid the government, the ruling that the government indeed assassinated him. But that was a court ruling. The courts admitted that. I have not seen any mention of that in the at the museum. So Malcolm X is there. He's such a seminal figure, you have to put him there. But you know, man. Oh, yeah, you know, hold on. Sister, you tangentially reminded me. There's a section in this place. And I mean, it's some true psychological warfare with this section, right? So a sister was telling me that at one time they had the actual lunch counters there, right? The lunch counters, one of the lunch counters from, I can't remember the companies that used to have these, but anyway, you know, the Freedom Riders and other people that used to go to the lunch counter, they would sit down, and of course, because it was segregated, they weren't supposed to sit there. And they would sit there, and then people would call the sheriff, and the sheriff would come and brutalize the people. Sometimes they make mockery and throw food on, or whatever the case may be, right? So that's the lunch counter history. So they took the actual lunch counters out, and I see you, brother, you got ripped off. Let me get to you in a second. They took the actual lunch counters out, but they put in these, like the audio, no, not audio, almost like a game. So it's a lunch counter, it's set up, and it's like a choose your own adventure game, right? Okay. And in it, you either get to choose to be like, in essence, a revolutionary or integrationist. Every time you choose something revolutionary, something bad happens. Every time you choose something integrationist, you're successful. So it'll ask you, it'll say, and I'll just, this is an example, this is not actual part of the game, but let's say Martin Luther King just got assassinated and a riot is going on. Should you A, go out, join the riot, B, try to organize the people to do something militant, or C, go pray? And if you go out, join the riot, you get arrested. You go out and try to organize, you get arrested. But if you go pray, nothing bad happens. Like, right? And that's how this thing is set up. And there's a big long table, a big long counter, So it looks like the lunch counters, right? But it has that digital imagery in that game. But the thing I noticed the first time I got on it, because I saw people on it, and at first I was about to disregard it, but then they were showing this video, and they showed Stokely Carmichael talk about Black Power, and then they showed civil rights stuff and all that. And I said, okay, let me check it out. And when I checked it out, that's the thing I noticed. So a lot of young people, because it's visual, it's digital, and it's like a game, a lot of young people go to that. And what are they teaching our young people? They're teaching our young people that to actually resist and to do something for yourself is going to result in something negative happening to you. And brother, you got your thoughts to this. That's why I love road trips. All of our history you find as simple things like rest stops. I'm leaving Fayetteville, which still has its auction house there, this enslavement auction house. Yeah, bro, I'm sure you probably, the trips you be taking, you probably seen a lot of stuff that most people would never see. It not only never see, but never even know it's there. So, like that's just when I describe this. Now, mind you, this is supposed to be the African American History Museum, but in it is propaganda against revolutionary activity in the museum, right? And the museum is funded by a bunch of corporations, a few Negroes that we know don't even like being black, and some hats. And so when your stuff is funded by people who are really your enemies, integrationists and corporations and Europeans and hats, and none of those people particularly like us, so you get what you get, right? So what I'm gonna do, since we're an hour in, I'm going to cue up the Lost Tapes video, and I'm going to issue my challenge to the sisters again. No sister, none, not one, has purchased even one of the Irritating Janie Lost Tapes videos, despite the fact of sisters telling me all the time, oh, I love Brother Jeannie. Brother Jeannie, the reason I got knowledge. And Brother Jeannie this, and Brother Jeannie that. And yet we have some videos that no one else has seen other than the people who bought something, and the people who were there, and the people who recorded it, which is myself. And I've had brothers now, maybe up to half a dozen brothers who have at least bought one lecture in that one system. We keep talking bad about y'all until one system purchases one lecture. I ain't say you had to buy the whole series, even though I had multiple brothers buy the whole series, but not one sister. And y'all supposed to be the ones with the money. And I mean, when I come on the internet, the women always tell me that they earn more than the black man. So what's the point if it's all gonna be spent on weave, nails, BBLs, and booty shorts? You know what I'm saying? The sisters got all the money. Who's gonna pay for the revolution? Just saying. You know I'm messing with y'all. But anyway. Pause the music. And since there's probably some sisters in here that don't know and haven't seen it, they haven't been here in a while, they haven't seen the Lost Tapes commercial. Here you go.
Now, we're going to go and talk about AIPAC. What is AIPAC? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC. What does AIPAC do? AIPAC is the gangster with a whole lot of money that says I'm gonna buy you and pay you money, and you're gonna make decisions that I want you to make. You're gonna do as I tell you, because I got my hands in your pockets. And they attached to people like Jeffrey Epstein, who take videos of the people that are supposed to be our representatives, and as they take those videos, they hold them hostage and say, vote as I tell you to vote. Do as I tell you to do.
I didn't even, the concept. I saw Naeem Akbar talking that black talk he gave, and I was out there telling everybody, yo, this dude gay. You remember back in the 90s, people hating me. Oh, this dude gay, man, we can't do this. You can't be up there talking black and be gay too. I was like, okay, he out the way. No, we're not doing this. I'm saying this because I did not imagine a time, little old me from Southeast, where if they tell us to take a jab, stick ourselves, I'm gonna be the only one that wanna say something. Maybe the brother out in Whitaker, brother Darren, you know, we got a few brothers, but I'm talking about like, I'm thinking whatever they tell us to do, we got black people who studied under these people, we gonna say no. Or we gonna at least wanna investigate. I'm thinking it'll always be that way. I'm thinking if somebody's pushing this stuff, R. Kelly molesting children, we're gonna deal with this dude. I'm thinking everybody's gonna agree with that, because you don't mess with children.
That's right.
That's what I thought was, that's just how I thought we were. That is who we are intrinsically, but I'm saying, I didn't imagine a world where I'm saying, don't vote for this dude. It's a trick. Come on, y'all. He's a mulatto who didn't grow up around black people. He a gay dude. He gonna push homosexuality. Y'all can't see this? I'm thinking, I'm telling y'all before he get in office, what are you talking about? And people who are the hardest nosed people in African nationalism, I mean the hard ones, looking at me, nah, you can't do that, dude. Y'all don't see this? I'm actually the only one that's gonna say, yo, you don't see, and then when he gets in and does what I say he does, okay, I saw. You messed up the first time. Okay, I saw. I'm thinking, okay, but now he going back for office. He done already made gay marriage legal. Mm-hmm. All right, now you get it. The dude, I told you he was a punk, he was a gump in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I still couldn't conceive. No, dude. If you're looking for somebody else to do it, you ain't studied the lessons of history. When you're passionate and pulled to do something and can't stop, it's a message being given to you. Ain't nobody coming. You gotta believe in yourself, because somebody decided that you was supposed to do something. So you can't turn it off and stop looking for people. You just gotta do what you do. We looked in the past, 1972. I was born in 1973. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 50 in December. A year before I got here, they must have known I was coming. They said, let's get this thing out here now before you get here. They did what's called a Gay Rights Platform of 1972. This is just official document, sharing information. If you read, go look that up online for yourself. They're making it difficult to find. I don't know if people have been noticing this, but things that you used to get easily go and put it on the internet and find them, you can't find this stuff no more. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you can't find. But I'm gonna bring your attention to just one. It's a bunch of stuff, all of it's aimed at children. Sex education for children, adoption, gay adoption of children. But there's one that's most important for what we're talking about today. And they break it down from the federal level and the state level. On the state level, they say every single state, they want laws repealing all laws governing the age of sexual consent. I'm gonna say that again. They want the repeal of all laws governing the age of sexual consent. Meaning a newborn baby, they want it to be legal to have sexual contact with a newborn baby. What year did I say? 1972. 1972. That's 51 years ago. Fast forward 21 years from then to 1993. In the interest of producing that result,
They had right downtown. I mean, 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes if there's no traffic. Go right up here, East Capitol, all the way up the road. You run right into it. They had the 1993 Gay Rights March on Washington. Let's see what that was about.
Check one.
Did y'all hear what they just said? Do I need to play that again? He said, don't play it again. He said, no, thank you. All right, I want to do this again. They said, we're young, we're queer. We're going to do what? We're going to rule the world. Now remember, 21 years before that, what did they say that they wanted for children? Repeal all laws governing the age of sexual consent. They want to have sex with children and make it totally legalized. 21 years after they said that, they said, we're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world. That was in 93. This is 30 years after that. So they've had 30 years to say we're queer, we're going to rule the world, which at that point they said, we haven't gotten to the point where we rule the world, because if they did, they wouldn't be saying that. They would say, we're young, we're queer, and we rule the world. They didn't say that. We're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world and have it our way.
All right, brothers and sisters, I am back. Yeah, I'm your host, DC Radical 1. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical_ONE, OTW2 at DC Radical 1. You can donate via Cash App, $ DC Radical 1. And you can email me at DC.Radical_1 at protonmail.com. See, Brother Jarake. Peace and blessings, Brother Crow. Brother Jarake says, we heard Martha lives. Oh, okay. You said you listened to the show. Yeah. I'm not sure when Brother Jenny's going to be back on, but he did for Black August. He had 4 shows on Mondays this month. And let me make an announcement. And I guess I should ask before I make this announcement, but I guess I'm gonna make this announcement anyway. And if I'm wrong, the sister will correct me. But this Thursday for SBL Talk, what day is that? 28th. Thursday the 28th, 6 p.m. for SBL Talk. sister Najee will be co-hosting with me. So y'all be sure to check that out. We're gonna try to have some more Mayat, which truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity. And also I'm gonna try to we're gonna try to do part 2 of the Sister Speak on Sunday the 31st, if we can get 4 sisters to come out and also get the facilities. So I will let you all know that. I have the thumbnail and stuff like that. So I'll let you all know that. Hopefully by Thursday, I'll let you all know. Time TBD right now. But the day, the goal for the day is to do it on Sunday. Okay, wait, are y'all? I see a bunch of comments. Let's see what. Oh, brother, you got ripped off. Said. Oh, okay. And then I'm gonna put this up, brother. Put this up. He says, I remember what I was trying to say Saturday during introductions with SBPM was the only movement fighting for morality, which is what sets us apart from everyone else. Indeed, brother. No one. Here's what it is. People think you have to be perfect to advocate for what's right. Right? So people think if you advocate for decency or morality, if you fight against savagery and barbarity, that you have to be perfect, because people think that people gonna look at what's in your closet. Okay. That doesn't make what the person said wrong, because they're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Mama Rudy said you can't swim in a sea of insanity, which is what America currently is, and the entire West is the sea of insanity. I live in DC. You want to talk about sea of insanity? I mean, this is like the cesspool of America, which is saying something, because San Francisco exists. You know what I'm saying? And Atlanta exists. You cannot swim in the sea of insanity and not get wet. There's no perfect people. We all have been under constant psychological, moral, ethical, financial assault, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to go along with all the evil that's taking place. Somebody's got to resist the evil somewhere at some time, at some point. And that's what we do. We try to resist the evil. Roger Rock, they said that everyone else ignores it or skates around it, afraid to confront derangement. And Sister Najee said, let's see, Sister Najee says, SBP is the only group that leads with and is uncompromising about African family values. Because let's be real, and I see you, Brother Crow. I'm gonna get to you. Give me a quick second. Let me go through this, and then I got you. The only thing that has allowed us to survive our sojourn here is our family structure. It's the thing that came under attack first. It came under attack before we even got here. They divided up the family on the slave ship. The only thing that allows us to survive is our extended family structure. So it's not just, what they call a nuclear family. It's multi-generational family. It's the thing most under attack now, because homophilia breaks down the family structure. Pedophilia breaks down the family structure. Individualism breaks down the family structure. And all the other things that we're subject to. In a society like this, with so much emphasis on consumerism, being completely honest, poverty breaks down the family structure. Right? So all those things attack the family structure, but the family structure is the only thing that's allowed us to survive. Sister Najee said a brother tried to tell her that all African People's Revolutionary Party is in Burkina Faso doing good work. I said, what's their stance on homosexuality? He said their main comrade in Kenya is lesbian. Oh my goodness. I've seen this for over a decade. That's why I'm laughing. Y'all gotta forgive me, brothers and sisters. I'm laughing because I've seen this insanity for decades, for people claim they're so revolutionary, but they can't fight to keep from bending over and getting Igbo over. And our brother Crow says, at the African American History Museum, do they mention the Nation of Islam? Yeah, brother, you missed it. I talked about that. They have a section. They have two sections for the Nation of Islam. One section where they mention the Nation of Islam is actually the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam is right next to the section on Marcus Garvey. So you have a exhibit on Marcus Garvey, like if you stand there on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, right beside it, is Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam. So they are there. As far as Prophet Noble Drew Ali, brother, I can't be 100% sure. I could have sworn they had a picture of him in a Quran Circle 7 there before, but now the last time we went, I didn't see it. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I did not see any mention of Noble Drew Ali this time. But I thought the first time I went there, I thought I saw something. So I apologize that I can't be 100% sure, but I don't think that Noble Drew Ali was there. Brother Gerard K. Really, you got ripped off. If I'm wrong and y'all saw Noble Drew Ali, then correct me. But I don't think that Noble Drew Ali was there, brother. So thank you for that question and the $10 super chat. Brother Gerard, they said they even had Father Divine in there, married to an underage Yoruba female. Oh, I see. I never knew that part. That's some history I didn't know. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, they saying they didn't see. Yeah, because if Noble Drew Ali was in there, he would actually been literally in that section that I just talked about. They all came around the same time, and that would have been a perfect place to put them. So, I'm gonna say that Noble Drew Ali was not in there, brother. So. It's just one more person to add to the list. And literally, he just fits right in that section. So I don't know why he's not in there. I would think that he, considering the other people I talked about, he's much less, this word I'm looking for, much less controversial than those people. So, the second part, let me get to this Black August real quick. And this is from a blog that I found. And they have a couple of articles I'm just go through quickly. And this is from 10 years ago. And it said, a picture of George Jackson says, 2013 marked the 43rd anniversary of Black August, first organized to honor our fallen freedom fighters, George and Johnathan Jackson, James McLean, William Christmas, Katari Dowden, and sole survivor of the August 7th, 1970 Courthouse Slave Rebellion, Rochelle C.K. McGee. During these 4 decades, we've witnessed a steady revision of the meaning of Black August and its inherent ideology. The undisputed leader, which was martyred, comrade George Lester Jackson. Sadly, lots of individuals, he says many are straight up capitalists and black nationalists seized upon Black August as a means of profiteering, limelighting, self-aggrandizement, and promotion of their own agendas. So this is interesting. So this is a person who is condemning what he sees as they would probably say the bastardization of Black August. But I would call it the modernization of Black August, because what's interesting looking at this article is that you have to make the assumption that George Jackson would have kept the same ideology with more information, right? And now who knows? Maybe George Jackson was a socialist, and as much as the Black Panther Party was very much socialist for the early part of it, and the part they don't talk about is one of the reasons the BLA, Black Liberation Army, kind of split away from the Black Panther parties, because one, they want to go underground and do more militant things, and two, they wanted to focus more. They want to go in more of a Black nationalist direction. Now, something that took place back then was, how can I put it? The belief that there was, and again, you have to understand, this is in the middle of the Cold War. So there were those who believed that the problems in America or in American society, or even around the world, that it was a class struggle, right? So poor versus rich, in essence. And then there were people who said, no, it's a racial issue, right? The thing that none of the people at that time understood was the issue that we're dealing with today of who the problem is, right? And overlooking the simple reality that I can see your race a mile away, can't necessarily see your class. There's a lot of rich people who walk around looking at me all the time. You see what I'm saying? If you're black, you're black. So that was always my issue with that. But ostensibly, Black August was developed to recognize our political prisoners, in essence, because George Jackson is recognized as a political prisoner. But within that also, it was about the spirit of rebellion and revolution. And that is the part where I think people get confused, because if we're going to be about rebellion and revolution, then we can't just disregard the people because whose ideology we don't like, if they put in the work. Nat Turner wasn't worried about no ideology. He was a Christian. Do I not celebrate Nat Turner because he's a Christian? No, I celebrate Nat Turner because he put in work. Dr. Huey P. Newton was a socialist for a large period of time, right? He even had communist leanings. Do I not celebrate Huey P. Newton because of that? Bobby Seale because of that? No. They put in the work. Malcolm X was a Muslim for a large part of his adult life. Do I disregard his work because he's a Muslim? See, when we get caught up in these ideological debates, we get very close to fighting amongst ourselves over things that aren't relevant. Like sometimes you just have to keep swinging your sword until you meet at the dead bodies of your enemies. Then you can discuss how you're going to rule after you win. We like to debate how we're going to rule while we're losing, right? So when I look at Black August, I look at the revolutionary aspect of it, not the ideological aspect of it. Because whatever ideology you want to pick, no ideology has freed us from our enemies. And no ideology right now is stopping genocide. Your brother Crow said Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was also a Muslim when he put in much work. And Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad told us that just because he was a Muslim and he said the Shahada, that's not going to stop him from working for our people. And he's not going to step over one of our people, even if they're down in the gutter drunk. For a Muslim that says Assalamu alaikum. That's what he said. Because why am I going to step over my own people? Because the wino don't know how to say it, the junkie don't know how to say it. That's what Dr. Collins said. No. Right? So I say all that to say that, man, Black August should be a time for us to come together and celebrate those who put in work, and not a time to all have ideological debates. Because let's be completely honest, there's not outside of a handful of brothers, there's not a lot of people in the modern time that have put in a lot of work against our enemies. And indeed, a lot of people have capitulated, and other people have worked with our enemies, and the enemies have put them on foot as if they're revolutionaries, and we find out that they're traitors. Right? I've talked about that a lot recently. So I say all that to say that Black August should be a time of reflection, a time of resistance, a time of introspection, and a time of really checking ourselves to see where we at. How many people have done that this year? I'm gonna be honest, I can't speak for other areas. I ain't saying, we want to argue about how it's celebrated. I haven't seen a lot of Black August events this year in DC. And the ones I haven't been particularly strong. Right? So I say all that to say that, we want to invite everybody, we want to be integrated, and we want to do this and that. And before you know it, the things are watered down that it don't even exist no more. And you'll look around and you'll have white people leading a Black August celebration. Right? Because one thing we gotta recognize, the hardcore warriors, man. If you got a bunch of rainbow people and your real crew who are not standing up there on stage, you gonna run the real people away. That's what they're trying to get away from. And you turn it around and putting it right back in front of them. So I found me a short Black August clip that talks about the history. Black August talks about George Jackson. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is from Jonathan Jackson's son is speaking. And that was George's little brother who was assassinated by the police while attempting to free his brother from incarceration. So we're gonna check out that clip, this short clip. It features Jonathan Jackson Jr. If I can get it out.
George entered the California prison system at a pretty young age. He was accused at 18 of participating in a gas station robbery. While he was incarcerated, he became radicalized. He started studying Marx and other leftist theorists, and really sort of organized prisoners along that kind of class awareness. And so was really seen as a leading voice of the prisoners' rights movement.
A lot of people don't know this, but the Attica rebellion that happened in New York in September was actually very much connected to reacting to a Black August incident, which was the assassination of George Jackson. So this was also like a national movement that was behind the walls. And what we saw happen after the 1970s is that it grew outside of the walls, right? Because as people who were incarcerated came home to their families and communities, they began to do community celebrations of Black August. And it's really grown since then. A lot of people, I think particularly during the 80s and 90s, it wasn't something that was talked about widely, like if you heard about it in passing, or again, if someone was coming out of prison, they knew about it, they would talk about it, but maybe it didn't stick. And so being young people in the 90s, we saw it as, well, how we uplift issues is we use our cultural tool, which is hip hop. So in 1999, we started the Black August Hip Hop Project. And we basically used the month of August to throw hip hop concerts where we created videos and we put out leaflets about George Jackson, who was assassinated, to Mumia Abu-Jamal, who was currently on death row. You know, like we were there, educating our peers about the tradition. So we commemorated Black August by doing a hip hop project.
It's really an alternative to a Black History Month. It's not in opposition to Black History Month, but it definitely presents a more radical side of Black History Month. So throughout the month, we're constantly trying to talk about the radical side of Black history, which too often gets forgotten when we're talking about the prominent Black figures in Black History Month.
Thank you. My apologies, brothers and sisters. I almost played the outro video too quick. So, a couple of things for that video. Jonathan Jackson Jr., the nephew of George Jackson. If you're wondering why he looks like that, greetings to Keith. But if you're wondering why he looks like that, Jonathan Jackson impregnated a European female right before, well, not right before, but shortly before he was assassinated by the police in that breakout attempt. Jonathan Jackson was 17 years old, and the female was working for the lawyer that was working on his big brother's case. So that's the story. So if you, you're looking at Jonathan Jackson Jr., like, wait a minute. Yeah. Yes. He is a mulatto. Right. And I think he's an artist now. I think he's an artist, but he keeps that history alive of the Soledad brothers and his uncle and his father and things like that. So, Black August is a part of that. And it just goes. That's a perfect example. I remember talking to Brother Jenny. He's like, man, those brothers on the West Coast. He's like, man, the integration is crazy. But when you buy into the socialist argument and that line of thinking, also, believe that sister that was talking, I believe she was a Black Lives Matter person. When you have that line of thinking and you feed into that ideology, which we know comes from the hats, the whole socialist, communist situation. We know Marx, Lenin, all those people, small hats. You feed into that ideology, you tend to become integrationists because that's what they've been pushing for over 100 years, right? Going back to Garvey's time, going back to the NAACP, and you know, it is what it is. That's, if you ask me, hey, what's your problem with that ideology? The origin is my problem with it, right? At some point, part of revolution is coming up with your own political systems, coming up with your own economic systems, coming up with your own religious systems, coming up with your own language systems, right? That's true revolution. Because we had all that before. And it was stripped away from us. Your own mode of dress. Right? I believe it's Amilcar Cabral said that you can measure the readiness of a people for revolution based upon the difference of their culture from their oppressors. The closer you are in culture to your oppressor, the further away from revolution you are. And in this case, in this day and time, closer you are to extinction. Because we're in the age of genocide. Right? And eventually I'm going to talk about this. But the closer and more successful Israel is in completing their genocide of the Palestinians, the closer Black people are to being extinct in America. Now you're gonna say, DC, them two things ain't got nothing to do with each other. Yes, they do. Because Israel's live streaming their genocide, and the world isn't doing anything about it as a whole. So if they can do that and get away with it, you think whites here not gonna take notice? You think that the hats wouldn't instigate something to make us appear to be the victim? I'm gonna tell y'all now. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. One of these two things, or both of these things, will happen. One, before his term is out, I believe that they're going to take the life of Mr. Trump. I could be wrong. I'm not wishing for it. And in fact, I kind of hope I'm wrong. But I believe that's what's going to happen. And I believe that some made up Black group is going to be blamed. And that will unleash Europeans on Black people. Before they to the integrated school psychologist. I believe that's going to take place. I believe in sometime around 2032 or so, between 2032 2036 election cycle, they're going to pass some type of bill claiming that it's reparations, and it's going to crash the economy, and Black people are going to be blamed for crashing the economy in order for them to get the CBDC passed, and then that's going to release a pogrom on Black people. That's the hat/trick for America. Crash the economy, put the CBDCs in place, and get Black people slaughtered all at the same time. I'm expecting it to be a small hat president in 2032, by the way, while we're making predictions. And I believe that's what's going to take place. That's, Now, can I be 100% wrong? Sure. I mean, but we got this recorded, I'll download it when I'm finished. and I'll keep it. I may even spread it around so y'all can hold me to it. But that's what I see coming. Now, can we do things to change that? Sure, but not in the current condition. We can't. But we're the perfect patsy for the small hat collapse of America. But that's what's currently taking place right now as we speak. That's why they're encouraging Trump to do what he's doing in cities with black mayors. You see what I'm saying? That's the trick. Because if you look at enough Dateline, you realize there's a whole lot of crime that Europeans commit against Europeans, but nobody talk about it. A whole lot of dudes out here burying their wife in the backyard. A whole lot of violation of children by all types of Europeans, including, as we saw a dude who violated or had unlawful pictures or whatever it was, and he hopped on a plane to Israel and disappeared. And of course, we already talked about Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein. Don't nobody want to talk about that part, right? So that's my prediction. I think that's what's going to take place as far as Mr. Trump. And I believe it was the last year of his presidency. So what year would that be? Somebody help me out on what year that would be. What would that be? 2028? Now I believe that will get in Mr. Vance. That will get him elected, and then that will make the transition to Palantir, and then he'll lose, and that'll bring in the one of the governors. Brother Pro says we already have some pass to the governor. Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. One of them. So that's the prediction portion of the show. I'm through with that. Raw Item Vito says there's not enough money in this world to pay me for what them Caucasoids did to the ancestors, and we still went eye for eye. Yeah, I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you the prediction. Right? Again, the money will be worthless when they give it to us. That's the trick. They're going to give it to us, and it's going to collapse the economy and collapse the dollar. The dollar is already going down because China holds a massive amount of U.S. debt, and they've stopped buying U.S. debt. So the dollars are actually already in trouble. Like the process has begun, the process of de-dollarization. And there's different Europeans that have talked about it. That's another show, right? Or it may be a lecture. If I feel like I can actually get people, well, first of all, I got to get a venue. I feel like I can get a venue, and I can get people to show up because I'm not a famous person or nothing like that. I'll work on that lecture. The collapse, the controlled demolition of America. That's probably what I end up calling it. Elijah Muhammad wrote a book called The Fall of America, but it's a controlled demolition of America. That's what I want to do in 2026. It all depends. If I can't find a venue here, I do have one other city I think I can do it in. But it's just a matter of, I don't know. It's a matter of if people are ready for that type of information. Because if people haven't been paying attention, the type of rabbit hole I take them down, they won't be able to follow what's going on. You really have to be paying attention to what's been going on. Not even behind the scenes, but just you have to be paying attention more to what's been going on. I would say, in quote unquote white world, like between different groups of white people, and behind the scenes in government and in the economy, things like that, to really be able to maybe they even be able to understand the lecture as I have it in my head now. And things may change. But I don't know. I mean, y'all tell me, is that something y'all think people would gravitate towards? Like, Brother, you got ripped off says, oh, you're not talking to me. Oh, okay. Never mind. He add somebody else. My bad. I'm back to the show. So, yeah, for those who came in late, which is a lot of people, thank you all for coming in. ISP, Baito, the Pro. What we talked about at the beginning, we talked about the SBPM weekend, and we talked about the things that are in museums and aren't in museums, and how history here in DC is spread out in different museums and different places, but also our revolutionary history isn't anywhere in any of these museums outside of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. So no Black Liberation Army, no the whole 80s and 90s Black consciousness movement, none of that. No Amos Wilson, no Dr. John Henry Clarke, no Steve Coakley, no Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, no Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, no Dr. Patricia Newton, no Dr. Julia Hare. That's what I was speaking about earlier. No Dr. Julia Hare. And so forth and so on. All of those people. None of those people are represented in the African American History Museum. Right. And I was just saying that if we could come up with the money, we have enough people who were completely ignored to have a revolutionary history museum here in America. Brother, I'll be able to tell you. Actually, I'll be able to tell you tomorrow, because more than likely, as I cross town after I leave here, I'll see them. So I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any guardsmen this morning, but it'll be shocking if I don't run into them after I leave this place. So I'll be able to let you know tomorrow. But I wouldn't be surprised, because they, like I told you before, when the George Floyd and COVID situation was going on, they were carrying M16s at that time. So, if they are again, I wouldn't be shocked. And like I said, that's coming to a city near you. You're in Baltimore, you're in Chicago. I believe he said Chicago's next. Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, New York, Oakland, maybe Los Angeles. It's coming to a place near you. And the reality of the situation is, here's the thing that's most interesting. None of those mayors. None of those mayors are like, they try to say that they try to act as if they like the mayors are some type of revolutionaries or some type of, it's so bogus. It just makes me just scratch my head. There's one thing about Europeans that really irritates me is they try to act like the most limp-wristed, weak-kneed Black people are the representative of the strong, militant Black people. And they don't even know how to deal with any strong Black people. And they're so cowardly. These Yoruba, man, just they don't get it. I said it before, I say it again. Black people are the canary in the coal mine. What you allow Black people to go through will eventually come back to you. And here's a perfect example that, basically close out top of the hour. The perfect example of this that Europeans still haven't figured out yet. The crack epidemic, when it took place, Europeans would like lock them up and they all druggies and this and that. And they laughed and they joked and made mockery and talked crack babies and all this stuff. Right? That happened in the 80s. We know the government was involved, and we know, behind the government, there's some hat involvement, right? There's actually, Europeans have done documentation on the hat involvement. Here we are, over 2 decades later, and they talk about the opioid crisis, and there's a health crisis, and this and that, and oh my goodness, and oh, help us out. Oh, the government ain't doing nothing. Oh, we need to sue pharmaceuticals, blah, 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 blah. But if you had to help stop the crack epidemic, you wouldn't be having an opioid crisis right now. Black people were the canary in the coal mine. You let it happen to black people, they say, oh, cool, we can do it to them. We can do it to these people too. Right? See, now, nobody thinks about that part. So now when you see these cities being taken over, you see the military rolling into the cities, and part of this, by the way, I know this because literally I just saw it. What was that, yesterday? Either Sunday. Yeah, yesterday. I saw it yesterday. Part of what's going on really is a glorified ICE operation. Like they're looking for. While they are harassing black people, make no mistake, but they also looking for people to deport. Like I saw some people that were visiting from, they look like they're from India, and talk to them later. We were going the same direction, and yeah, man, the people hopped out their unmarked car and walked right up to them. Now this was in the hood where there are people who were probably doing something nefarious or illegal, like 5 feet from these people, but they walked right up on the 2 Indian people. Right up on them. It was crazy. Because when I saw them jump on, I was like, oh, here we go. Now y'all gonna ask, what DC, what was you doing in the hood? I was in the hood. Because that's where I be. So anyway, I was like, oh, here we go. You know what I'm saying? And then they, like I said, they walked up right on the East Indians. These people are tourists. They here spending money. They just trying to get back to their hotel because if you got money, you get hotels downtown. If you're smart, you get hotels on New York Avenue corridor, which is like kind of the gateway to the city. And you spend half the money that you spend at the hotels downtown. Or if you want to drive, you get a hotel in like Northern Virginia for less. Right? So they took the New York Avenue corridor advice. But that's where they were headed back to when the police decided that they wanted to, well, actually, whoever it was, the police and whatever other law enforcement division that was. I don't even know who they were, to be honest, because I wasn't trying to stand there long enough for them to ask me nothing. Because fortunately, I'm not famous. And I plan to keep it that way for a little while, because fame and money don't necessarily go together anymore. Now, maybe it does, maybe if I was more famous, I would get more views and more likes and more this and that. And yeah, cool. But that ain't the case right now. Right? So, this weekend, man, I thoroughly enjoyed the weekend. I enjoyed interacting with the people. The food was good. The Swahili Village food was on time. I had Man, I forgot what I had, but it was good. It was on time. Got to see Brother Jarake, got to see Sister Najee and some others. And I really enjoyed myself, man. And I think, brother, you got ripped off. I think y'all that traveled, that y'all didn't. It's not like y'all came from one state away. Y'all came from far away, and it was good to see the people. And I'm gonna just say this: SBPM is on the verge of doing some big things. If things go well, and I'm gonna be honest, people as the imminent collapse of this society takes place, people are gonna be looking for answers, and people are gonna be looking for leadership. And from my observation, there are not a lot of people, black or white, who have the right answers. And as for the leadership part, we shall see how that works out. So the plan for me is to come on tomorrow. We're going to talk about what's going on the continent. We're going to talk about the Congo. We're going to look at Sudan, which I haven't looked at probably in a couple of years. About what else is going on the continent? We're going to take a look at a little bit at the AES, because Mali found a spy, by the way. I don't think I talked about that. In Nigeria, hold up. Did I talk about that? I was going to talk about that. And I might do a video on this, but I want to bring it up real quick. Nigeria signed a security pact with Israel. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Don't let me forget that, bro. Look. Yeah, I saw you, brother. You got ripped off. You talk about ice cream, by the way. He got jokes. Nigeria, what are we doing? What are we doing? So we're going to get into Nigeria's pact with Israel, which is a disaster. I guess we'll talk about Netanyahu's speech about coming into Africa and liberating our brothers, or something crazy he said. And like I said, we'll talk about Congo, maybe a little bit about Haiti, even though I know I spoke about it earlier. Maybe rehash that. Sudan, Mali, and the AES, and what brother said, don't forget Uganda's pact with U.S. deportation. Yeah, remind me of that, bro. Say send me some on Telegram. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on the continent. And then Thursday, I don't know if the sister's still in here, but me and Sister Najee will be working together. That's the plan. And then Sunday, actually, I'm gonna put the call out on Instagram. I think I'm gonna put the call out on Instagram today. See if I can get some more sisters so we can do part 2 where the sisters speak. We gotta talk to Sister Asha, see what her availability is. See if I can get 2 other sisters to come on. So that is that's the plan for the rest of the month for Black August. And I just found out, I forgot this, but I just found out that there is a limit as far as time when you have the free StreamYard. There's a limit on, I believe, 20 hours that you can stream. So for me, that would be 10 shows if I actually stuck to the limit. So now I know. I mean, I saw it, but I never paid any attention. But I don't think I've done 10 live streams in a month before, but they sent me a message and say, hey, you're getting close. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that rolls over soon, so I should be good. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you all for your support. Thank everybody who came out to the luncheon. Be on the lookout. I'm gonna try it. It's gonna be next month. It's gonna be September, but I'm gonna try to get Brother Genie once he get all his tech together and take care of some other things he gotta do. I'm trying to get him on next month, man. So be on the lookout for that. Again, I'm your host, DC Radical One. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC_Radical_ONE, OTW2 at DC Radical One. You can donate via Cash App, $ DC Radical One. And you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. So, brothers and sisters, hopefully I will speak to you all again in about 22 more hours. So with that, I say a BB48 and straight black.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $ DC Radical One. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for ODA and straight black pride.